Good afternoon, good morning to my American compatriots. It's Dave Thackeray here from Factnology. It's rocking out around 2 o'clock on Monday. I look like this so you can feel better about yourself. That's the deal. Works all right with me. Massive picture of myself in front of me, but thank the Lord I've got the webcam there to steady the ship. Against the backdrop of Jazz FM, I'm sure I'm going to get sued for copyright infringement, although the volume is sufficiently low that I may just about get away with it. For the longest time, I've been working very low-key with some small groups on a new service. Not so new to me anymore, but new to most people because they are pretty small groups, but they had a purpose and there's a reason why I kept it small. On a new radio system that is hyper-local. It's a great phrase, I don't know what it means yet, but it sounds fantastic. An exclusive media provider, and that's me, and that's Event Radio. And I want to explain today about what that is, and I'm imagining that most of the 7 people who subscribe to this page are not themselves going to be in a position to host events or manage a conference in the near term. But there may be somebody that you know who has got an event in mind and wants to do something a little bit different, a little bit impactful, and a little bit beyond the realms of the one-off event. Because if there's one thing I know about conferences, it's that there are more of them than ever. And so if you're an organizer, you're always looking for ways to retain your delegates, to give more value to exhibitors and suppliers, and maybe to put speakers on another pedestal so they've got extra reasons to come back to your event next year, or even they might feel fantastic about this year because of this new service that you're going to give to them. And that's pretty much why the event radio service was born, why Factnology has really sprung to life these past few months. And this is why I'm really excited to talk about it today. I haven't fleshed it out to a great degree because I've just been doing it. And I was prompted to put together a pitch deck for a client who wants to bring this in towards the end of the year. And so now I've got something of substance, I thought I would share it with you. So I'm going to run through it. If I've got to figure it out just now as to how to share my screen, I've got a funny feeling that now I've kicked things off, I can't. So in which case, I will share this with you in the future in the form of a series of PDFs in a single file. It's a PDF file, so it's just one PDF specifically. The reasoning behind it is what I've just described. It's that we want to create some sort of longevity around events as a conference organizer. I've been involved in conferences myself in the past, and I kind of wish that I'd thought about this years ago, but now it's here, then that's fine. Just haven't organised a conference for some months, so I can offer it to other people. How it goes is a 4-step process. Is the first thing that I will do, and that I've done with these small groups, so just to kind of get a platform or a launch pad for it to figure out that this process works, is start a discovery phase. I learned all about discoveries from Shari Levitin when I used to work in timeshare. So look away now if you think I'm a timeshare shark. I'm not really. I've just got a double glazing lately. Do really good as well. It's only because I couldn't get into insurance because the boat was full. Discovery phases are all about where you learn to understand the things that go on behind the scenes of an organisation, or in this case, a conference. So how did that conference come to be, and what's the story of the organiser? What was their reason? The big why. So we put all the pieces of the jigsaw together and figure out what that conference is about and how the event radio service can fit in. So once we've figured out the nuts and bolts, that's when we move on to the second phase, which is the strategy. The execution comes in third position. Strategy is where we put together a content plan, the content strategy, and we talk about how we can create a radio service that will stimulate delegates, speakers themselves, because they're the influencers, they're the people who are going to share the messages that we put together using that radio service. The exhibitors, the suppliers, people that we can bring onto the show during the event itself. These are all great fodder for a really thought-provoking and captivating service that works really well for the betterment of the conference, but also equips your delegates with a new dimension. If they couldn't attend one of the seminars or the keynote event, for example, but they still want to understand exactly what went on there, then obviously one of the magazine shows at the event will feature the keynote speaker, and they'll be invited to talk about stuff that is specific to them, but also some of the themes that have been covered elsewhere at the conference or the event itself. So it's multi-dimensional, like this, hyper-local, multi-dimensional. Sound like I'm a proper geek. Once we've put together that strategy, that's when we move into making waves. I should copyright that. That's where we actually put foot to the metal, or both feet if you've got to. We create that really compelling radio production. Can take many, many different forms. You might want a quiz show on there. You might want just a series of magazine shows. You might want standalone interviews. You might want us to take to the floor and talk to attendees or delegates about what they're thinking right now, because all of this stuff makes fantastic content, really good content that can be dropped in as sound bites or vox pops, as I know them as a journalist. Done my fair share of vox pops in the past, and I love it as well because it makes me sound quite learned. So once we've got that made waves phase done, chapter 4, really, which is the final phase, is sustainable success. So once you've done your radio work and once technology has really started burning rubber, that's where we get back together again. We review what happened at the event. Don't forget as well that we'll put trailers together as well. So before the event kicks off, we'll tease people with a hint of what's to come. But after the event itself, it's equally important as what goes on during the event, especially if you have a live radio feed. We'll review all the content. We'll look at what we've learned as an industry, as a sector, as an event. And then we'll look back to phase 2, which was all about strategy. And we'll see, okay, well, based on that content strategy, we've now got a calendar of great things to talk about, themes to discuss during the next 12 months. Because what we want more than anything, unless you've got an event that happens every quarter, you might be a Chamber of Commerce. What we want to do is make sure that people stay glued to your content feed across all these different platforms for the next 12 months. We want more delegates next year. We want to prove that those delegates have joined your list of delegates and attendees for next year based on what they heard on Factnology, the event radio service, from this year's conference. So there's lots and lots of ways to repurpose the content from the radio station, from this service that we've provided, whether it's white papers, whether it's webinars, whether it's blog posts, whether it's videos, whether it's stories, whether we can get your chief exec to do a Q&A based on 12 of the things that were picked up during the conference. This is really good stuff. And this is in many ways why event radio is greater than just maybe, say, put together an event newspaper or just writing a series of articles. Because you think about as I used to call it, as the podcast guy, the podcasting pyramid. With a radio feed, you can repurpose that straight away as a video if you want. So you can put some videos over the top of it and create that and throw it onto YouTube, or as a series of chapters on YouTube that really resonate with your delegates. You can then pull the audio from the podcast and transcribe it and put it together as a series of articles or talking points or things that you might want to take to a meeting. So there might be 55 different really important points that resounded loud and clear from that event. And you know what? You could take those to a weekly meeting with 3 left over at the end of the year that your senior exec team could talk about that actually might provide the stimulation for the next year's conference theme. Just an example. There's so many ways you can slice and dice this, and this is what's so great about having an event radio service. So I want you to think about it anyway, and if you think that this is something that might benefit somebody that you know, or by chance you've got an event coming up, large or small, because you can cater to a massive opportunity, or it might just be that you're sowing the seeds and you want to get started. Enjoy this jazz. Get excited. Nice reminder. Just get in touch anyway. You know where I am on Facebook. It's not like I'm hiding. I know a lot of people say maybe you should hide that face. And that might be why I've got a face for radio. It's a perfect fit, isn't it? So have a think about it, and then you can either get in touch with me here on Facebook or drop me a line at dave@wordandmouth.com.